connection between the quantum physicist and the ne'er-do-well on the street is that both of them have the power to create reality. One knows it, the other is ignorant of it.
Consciousness, we have great trouble defining it. To me, consciousness is a byproduct of spirit entering dense matter. But we have a long, long way to grow before we get to the stage where it is meaningful for us to ask the question, will we know God?
Most people think of God as that great figure in the sky with the white beard who's scrutinizing the human race from above. They see us here on earth as in some form of neutral testing ground, where we're placed by God for a period, and God watches from above, registering the scores on his laptop as to whether we perform according to his designs or whether we're offending him, as it's put. An absolutely outrageous idea. How could we offend God, the type of God that people believe in? How could it matter so much to him? How could it, above all, matter that he would find it so serious a situation that he could condemn us to an eternity of suffering? These are bizarre ideas, but obviously they have a great hold on the fears and the limitations and the insecurities of people, which is why religion can play so effectively, whether deliberately or otherwise, on those insecurities. People fall into line very readily when they're threatened by these cosmic sentences of everlasting punishment.
How in the Ten Commandments could we have possibly created a mind that could transcend space and time? No, we're too busy keeping our emotions in check to ever dream of infinite possibilities. And maybe that is the ultimate conspiracy.
Even though a given person may have long ago thrown off the trappings of religion, they still live in the religious mold and they don't even know it. But their whole conception of how reality works is all something that has been molded by religion. So until you get that out of your system, you can't ever make go of an evolutionary perspective.
Religion gets you off the hook of living it. It becomes, for example, religion does not have eminent domain over God. Religion is simply the study of God, the mystery of God, and then endeavoring to take from scraps of people all of that interpretation and put it in, well, it must mean this, and so we're going to fast today, and we're going to cover ourselves up, we're going to uncover ourselves up, and if we do this, this is what God is pleased about. But you know, that's just hogwash. And so pleasing God gets us off of the hook of living. I mean, the very fact that we had to have somebody die for our sins is sort of a ripoff, don't you think? I mean, I think we already really should have had the privilege of living out our own sins and by virtue of experience be enriched with wisdom because of them. And I don't see how evolution and how we could ever grow and become astounding beings unless we are fraught with the blight of experience that is bad and harmful and all those things, because only then have we really achieved the wisdom that allows us to understand everybody.
One of the problems with organized religions is that there is this sense of separateness, that it's only good to be a Protestant, or that people who are Catholics are the only people who know the way. And I think now our current understanding of quantum physics is this understanding of complete unity, and so that we have to derive our spirituality from a sense of unity.
I use the pun fundamental with a hyphen to mean the fundamental level of the universe, because at the most basic level, there's a mentality at this most basic level. So, you know, fundamental religions that focus on only their approach to the exclusion of others and are self-righteous and dogmatic, I think is a very bad thing.
The method in science is to produce a conjecture about reality, and then you set out hammer and tongs to disprove it. In that process, you will be able to strip away the accretions and the peripherals and hopefully get at a core. that's hard and fast. And as somebody said yesterday here at the conference, 90% of new knowledge is going to the garbage bin in a few years anyway, and that's the way it ought to be. Now, the single exception to that in the field of human endeavor has been religion, because religion says, oh, we have all the truth already, right from day one, and therefore it can't ever change. Therefore, we can't set out to refute it. And because it has never set out to refute the peripheral aspects of its presuppositions, religion has become more and more irrelevant to the evolution of human thought.
Mustard seed. This parable is a brilliant parable to an age in which there was no science. So he says to his disciples that the kingdom of heaven is not in the sky. And look, many will say that it is here, it is there. But in reality, he said, all right, a mustard seed is the tiniest of seeds. The kingdom of heaven. And what does that mean? It means who we really are and where we have our eternalness, where we have our alwaysness, where we have always been and always will be. That self is smaller than a mustard seed, and that the kingdom to which God lives is as small. Jesus knew this 2,000 years ago. And how is he going to teach a bunch of fishermen, tax collectors, and riders on asses about quantum physics? And the key ingredient, the key to the kingdom of heaven is self. And where do we find self? In this morass of tiny, the observer. So, what did he know that you do not know? And he knew it 2,000 years ago. And so did the mystery schools 2,000 years ago know this. What are we really? We have determined it. What are we ultimately? We have determined it. That we are even smaller than the smallest phase of time from 0 point energy to its recognition. So how small are we? We are 0.0, and we fluctuate off of that 0.
So when we say the kingdom of heaven is in you, as Jesus put it, rather than God was within you, then we're talking about a complete identification of our being with the divine source that's at the origin of it all.
The only reason that there is an addiction to religion is some way out of a mistake. Does that diminish the greatness of God? No, it actually opens the corral and lets God be eternal, absolute. The law that is given to us is the same laws given to that of those people on Sirius. Given to us by the people in the Rose universe or the I universe. And your Hubble telescope is finally seeing galaxies of immeasurable beauty. That in our heart and in our mind we long to engage. It's exciting to meet beings of greater mind or lesser mind. And where does it end? It doesn't end. Doesn't end.
We do not want to accept responsibility. We do not want to accept our greatness. So it's very easy for any system of thought, religious or otherwise, that comes along. It's very easy to play on that, to play on our insecurities, to assure us all is well, we'll all be taken care of. We lap that up. So don't blame religion. blame our own insecurities, which has allowed religion to flourish and which has allowed so many systems of thought that are disempowering to flourish throughout human history. That's why we can't get out of it.